I read the script and I felt, this is a challenge that I really want to take up.
From the moment we signed on and we sat down and did our homework and went on set and every day worked like, every shot needs to be 100%.
Because it will go really wrong for you. And as I've said this before, that we are the face of the film. तो किसी को कुछ गाली पड़े ना पड़े, हमें गाली पड़ेगी.
Hi everyone, this is Kunal Kothare. You're watching me on IWMBuzz, and with me are people who have been given a lot of tags, courageous, this, that, everything. But I think the only thing that matters, they are some of the finest actors we have right now, and we're here to talk about a great film as well. So hi guys, Vikrant Massey, Raashii Khanna Ridhi Dogra. Hi.
Hi. Thank you. Yes.
Of course. So I want to dive into something right away, because here, of course, there's a million conversations. We're not getting there. What we are getting at is the portrayal of journalism, and I think it is what the film is intended to do, right? Considering you all are playing such different kind of journalists as well, in terms of the medium and the way it's coming out, right? Today, when you see something जो 2002 में हुआ था और उसका कैसे उसको दिखाया गया और उससे लोगों के perceptions बने, do you feel that lost in translation is the most apt thing in the worst way possible today as well, as was the case probably 22 years ago?
Probably worse.
Yeah.
Probably worse. There was no internet there. Probably what happened, or factually actually, 2002, 27th February, Godhra was the first time that you actually saw live telecast of news from the ground, from the field. But today you have everything on your phone. We've reached Mars, we've reached the moon, but we are only getting worse.
Anything you all would like to add?
I think he said it for us.
Right. And again, another thing about this is that when you're dealing with something which actually happened, real life event films and shows are in abundance in obviously separate ways in different genres. The idea of cinematic liberty is where lines are drawn. It all depends on the director. It also depends on the actors, how the conversations go forward. So when something like this happens, how do you maintain that balance? Okay, cinematic liberty bhi hai, but we have to make sure that we never cross something, not necessarily in a controversial way, but in a way that it doesn't even, become a problem for the people who are affected as well.
I think you can't take too much of cinematic liberty in a film like this, because it will go really wrong for you. And as I've said this before, that we are the face of the film. तो किसी को कुछ गाली पड़े ना पड़े, हमें गाली पड़ेगी. So we have to be very careful that it's factually correct. That there are not many cinematic liberties taken, except for the characters that were played. Like she represents a system in the film. He has this whole arc of where the journalist starts, where he goes, how he finds his own calling eventually. And I am this girl from who wants to be this news anchor, this new energy, comes into the system, realizes what it stands for, takes a call whether or not she has to stand on her moral ground or move away from it. Does she run after success or does she run after the truth? So you'll see all these dichotomies through our characters. That's the only place we've taken cinematic liberty, but nowhere else when it comes to facts in the film.
Correct, true. And I met you, Vikrant, during Sector 36, and the one line which I still remember so well, that you was just casually talking about it, कि बहुत लोगों ने आपको कहा था कि ये फिल्म नहीं करनी चाहिए और इसीलिए आपने की.
जी.
And I don't think that is probably a different case here as well.
नहीं, it's a different case. अगर कोई मुझे बोलेगा पिक्चर नहीं करनी, मैं इसलिए नहीं करूँगी क्योंकि वो मना कर रहा है तो मैं करूँगी.
But obviously there are reasons, right? कि मतलब लोगों के भी अपने reasons होते हैं, risk है, ये है, वो है, right? So this is the question for all three of you, right? There are multiple instances जो आपके life में ऐसे आते होंगे. There are scripts which people call risky, as I already mentioned. But is that a driving force consistently as actors for you? Because or else it's just about how organically I'm connected to the script, or it is like ye bhi thoda driving force.
There is nothing organic about connecting to this script. No, definitely. I think we three, I can speak for myself, but I think I can also say this for them, that we three are actors who like to take a little plunge, especially with this film. That's what I have done, and I think they've also done the same, because on the face of it, when you're offered a film like this, you are nervous because you're also an armed nagrik of this country. You feel like, no, I don't want to get into this, I don't know what this is. But then the moment you met the team and you understood that they had a lot of research and data backing the facts that they are telling, then you suddenly feel like, okay, I am an actor and this is the least I can do. Instead of sitting down and having conversations or writing a tweet, this is what I can do. I can be part of something and say so much.
Correct.
So...
Yeah. Anything you all want to add to that? With this?
So in my case, I have never asked anybody whether or not I should do a film. It's always been my decision because I feel like it's my career, it's my responsibility, it's my face. So I have to be responsible with the decisions that I make. So no matter what anybody else thinks, I will always go with my gut feeling. Except obviously when a film like the Sabarmati Report comes to you, you will have your questions. The first thing I did was I went back to my friends and my family to understand what they know of the event, of the incident or what happened. And I was appalled because most of them didn't know what happened. That was the driving force for me to be on this film. And also the fact that I've never played a journalist, and also the fact that you may have seen me in commercial roles, but there are very few content-driven films where you get good characters to play which have an arc, and this film had that. So I was selfish as an actor because I was like, okay, I am being responsible as a citizen, I am also being responsible as an actor, and here is a part which I haven't done before.
Yeah.
So I think the reason for me was the fact that I was feeling responsible as a citizen, I was feeling responsible as an actor, and I was selfish because I've not done something like this before. You may have seen me in commercial films, but it's very rare that a content-driven film comes to you where there's an arc and they believe that you will be able to pull it off. And I always wanted to play a middle-class girl. I mean, because I have been a middle-class girl. No, people don't relate.
Unlike people,
people will think that, ye to matlab, she must be very rich and all. That's the perception. But I come from a very... Now I am. But I came from a very low middle-class background and I'm proud of that. But I've never been able to really project that. Those aspirations, when you come from college and your eyes have these dreams and you want to make it big, and then the world happens to you and then you're like, it's not that easy, you know. So I think that I was able to play through Amrita, my character, and that's where I related to it a lot. So obviously apart from the whole incident bit and the historical bit, I think this was one of the major reasons why I signed up for this film.
Correct. And anything you would like to add, Vikrant? Because as I mentioned, it is because of you only that it resonated with me, and I'm sure so a lot of factors.
I mean, that cannot be the only driving factor.
Of course.
But yeah, there is that nudge when people tell you, "Arey, don't do it." Like as in case with Sector 36, when my team and people were like, "Oh my God, you're fresh off a blockbuster."
Exactly.
Why do you want to play a part where you will be sort of, shunning those people away? I read the script and I felt, this is a challenge that I really want to take up. In this case, I think that was the case with most of us. When this came my way, I was a little apprehensive. Obviously, because this is such an important part of our modern history, this tragedy that took place, there are so many versions of it.
Right.
And unfortunately, this particular tragedy is recognized or identified as a political incident. And we've failed those 59 people. We've failed many more who were affected by it. By not seeing it as a human tragedy or a national tragedy rather.
Correct.
I also want to add that just yesterday I figured, correct me if I'm wrong, that people stopped him from doing 12th fail also.
Yeah.
There were people who told him
It's a
don't do the
constant
film. Yeah, and I'm so
I hope
glad
you
that he did.
stopped from doing this film also. Then this will become a hit.
Yeah, they did.
वो ट्रेंड हो गया अभी, वो एक अच्छा ट्रेंड चल रहा है.
Actually, this has been a hat trick now.
Yeah.
Super.
Wonderful.
Hat trick of successes, I'm sure.
Hat trick of successes, I hope so too. But then, as Raashii said, most of these decisions are actually entirely mine.
Right.
I felt that this story needs to be told. It's very important for us to go out there, and also with the advantage of hindsight, knowing that you cannot be taking many creative liberties. You have the facts in front of you.
Correct.
And unfortunately, not a lot has been spoken about what happened on 27th of February.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was appalled when actually a lot of people told me that you should not do it because it has a political connotation to it. You might be sort of alienating people who really like you and blah, blah, blah. Which could be right in its own perspective. But I felt that nobody's spoken about them. there are films made on World War II, there are films made
Exactly.
on Pearl Harbor, on 9/11, or you know, you can name any major
Yeah.
pivot point in any country's history. I recognize this is one such point in our modern history, and
True.
nobody's made a movie on it. People have, but not specifically on what happened to the Sabarmati Express.
Correct.
So yeah, that's the reason I did this film.
Awesome, awesome. And something, you know, which always comes, I mean, every film you do a film, when it comes to a theatrical release, it is obviously you want to make money out of it, right? There is kahani batani hoti hai, but obviously there's a business angle attached to it, and that's the parallel conversation of OTT is completely different, right? So when a film like this comes with a theatrical release, there has also been a few hurdles, not specifically in this context, but otherwise previously as well. How much do you feel that the box office performance of this film will dictate, you know, the kind of story that you all wanted to see and the impact of it?
I think we've done now, our work is done. So now the film is out. And what happens at the box office, we as people who are part of the filmmaking process, of course, from the moment we signed on and we sat down and did our homework and went on set and every day worked like, you know, every shot needs to be 100% and I need to show it in my eyes and all of us. You know, we were always hoping that this is well received and every human being ever should watch it, right?
Correct.
So that's the intention, you always work.
I think that's something that's not really in our
Yeah,
hand.
what
intention
happens now
what
is not in our hands.
Is in our hand, and also Ekta, when she was making the film, she had said that I don't care how much money this film makes or doesn't make. My intention is very clear that I want to take this story to people. That was also a driving force in us that, okay, this is not, there's no agenda to this. It's just, this is a fact and history that we want to project. And now what happens post that, she doesn't care about it. So if your producer is so secure, then we as actors don't really have to think about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so
Surprise me.
much, guys.
Thank you.
Lovely,
so
lovely
much.
chatting.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.